Now then, you noticed that your partner is abusing alcohol. Perhaps you are in despair and have already thought about leaving him. Or you are exhausted trying to find an approach to your partner and convince him to stop drinking. You are probably scared and confused. Let's figure out what you can do in this situation. Alcohol abusers are often in denial to relieve their tension. They would say, I have no problem with alcohol and drugs, everything is fine, and I am in control of the situation. Your task here is definitely not to play along with this scenario. But instead of insisting that your partner has a problem and arguing with him, talk about how his drinking affects you. This will cause less resistance from your partner, and you will be heard more quickly. You can use the following plan. Talk about what you see in the behavior of your partner, what you think at this moment, and what you feel. For example, when I hear you come home in the middle of the night, I wake up from all that noise. At that moment, I think that you are neglecting me, and I get really angry. Or you might use another example. When I see you get drunk several times a week, I think how much you have changed since we met. Then I want to cry from powerlessness and disappointment. I also think that things will get worse, and I get scared. You can end with a request or a question. What do you think about this? How can we settle this? Could you go see the doctor? Or, can you not come home when you're drunk? Avoid making evaluations and demands. If your goal is to express your anger by shaming your partner or reminding him that he ought to be a good dad, that's one story. But if you want your partner to hear you, this kind of communication would hardly be effective. None of us like being told what to do. Even if we commit some blatant nonsense and realize it, when we hear another telling us what to do, in response to that order, we will continue doing something stupid even harder. That's the spirit of contradiction speaking. If you are truly concerned about your partner's health and condition, then express your concerns directly rather than through instructions. Just make sure to be sincere about it. If anger and resentment are outweighing now, there is no need to hide them or pretend that all is well. Your anger is an important signal for your partner and for you, and it's something that should not be concealed. Here we come to an important point. No matter how carefully and skillfully you communicate with your partner, you cannot control his behavior. There is no key to control the partner's actions and desires. There are no magic phrases. On the other hand, you may feel very uncomfortable because you are out of control. You don't like what is happening, but the outcome is largely not up to you. You feel powerless, and this is a very unpleasant experience. As a result, you might begin to take on more and more responsibility for the situation. You might think, I guess I've paid less attention to him after the birth of the child, so he started drinking. Or, he is constantly stressed because I ask too much of him, and that's why he drinks. In a sense, this gives you temporary relief because you begin to feel that you can work the situation out just by changing your own behavior. For example, you hope that if you stop talking to your partner about your desires and expressing your anger, then his stress might go down and he will stop drinking. Now you have a plan, and it feels good. The problem is that this plan is based on the illusion of control. But you have to know that painful disappointment and loss of energy will surely follow. And moreover, you will pay for this way of thinking with overwhelming guilt and depressive symptoms. As long as you take responsibility for the situation, your partner, in his turn, will relieve himself of responsibility. He can look for reasons for his weakness in you and blame you along with your work, your parents, and just fate. However, drinking alcohol is a person's free choice. It may be hard for you to accept at first, but the decision not to drink has to be made by your partner, not you. Oddly enough, reclaiming responsibility is healing for people with addictions. And excessive drinking is exactly that, an addiction. When you stop burdening yourself with responsibility for your partner's behavior, you will help both him and yourself, even if he doesn't like it. Perhaps your partner's alcohol abuse is your mutual shameful secret. You don't want other people to know that your couple is going through some abnormal experience. But feeling shame, and worse, pretending that everything is in order can be very exhausting. Feel free to ask for help, because you also need support, even if your partner is against it. For example, you can find support groups for relatives of addicts in your city. Also, make sure that your partner is treated by a professional. It's not your responsibility to treat him. Doctors are not as involved in the situation as you are, so they will be more impartial and will not burn out from the process. Let's talk separately about violence. Does it happen that when your partner gets drunk, he commits violence and scares you, shows aggression, threatens you, insults you, or wakes you up in the middle of the night? Or maybe you have just tried everything, but nothing works. In this case, take care of your safety and psychological well-being. If the best or only way for you to achieve this is to separate from your partner, do it. Your well-being, unlike your partner's actions, is your area of responsibility. If you decide to leave or take a break in a relationship, you shouldn't blame yourself for leaving someone with a problem. Your partner is an adult, and without his willingness, you cannot help him. Moreover, you do not have to do it. You cannot save someone who doesn't want to be saved.